bring a little bit of Microsoft Search into your life. First, going to kick off, for anyone who doesn't know me, a little bit about myself. So my name's Kevin McDonnell. I'm a solutions architect at a company called CPS. We're based in the UK, and we're a Microsoft Gold partner, as many people are. But we focus on modern workplace. So my remit is really across, I focus on modern workplace there. We do a lot of work with Project and Dynamics and others. But I look across the Microsoft 365, SharePoint, Team stack. I do a bit of Azure development quite often, do a bit of Power Platform. I'm also the co-host of Grey Hat Beard podcast. So if you haven't had a listen, do go and search for Grey Hat Beard. And I'm mentioned on there quite a few times. Jack of all trades, master of none. So pick up a lot of different places and cover across there. I've been working with SharePoint for, it was 2004. So getting on 16 years now. And during that time, I've spent quite a bit of that swearing about search. And not being able to find indexes, having indexes fail, all the painful things, both on premises, an awful lot, and getting less and less so with SharePoint Online. But one of the great things is I've been able to build some really powerful solutions on top of that, where you can pull your data from multiple sites and have your items link in with each other. So there is an awful lot you can do with search, both within your Microsoft 365 content and beyond that. And that is becoming more and more possible with Microsoft Search as well. So now you don't have to manage those indexes. Now you don't have to manage all those things. You can leave those with Microsoft and chase them and make it their problem when it breaks. I just want to take a little bit of a pause and thank the sponsors. So Microsoft JPower 4, I'm going to say it's Pentara Technologies or Penthara, and Soho Dragon. Thank you for making these events happen. I know that you as attendees get bombarded with these messages. Please don't switch off. These people help these community events actually go along, and community is everything when it comes to Microsoft 365. It is what drives that, and these people help make that happen. So going back to Microsoft Search, I decided to ask 40 people, what is SharePoint Search? Now, I picked people, my friends, former colleagues, people who weren't necessarily part of the SharePoint community directly, or at least because I would have thought they'd know the answer. So I wanted to see what other people understood. I could have asked Microsoft Search, but I was pretty sure no one would have known the difference. So I went for something that people were more likely to know. And what were the most common phrases that came back? You can see here, obviously, SharePoint and search coming back, but also people talking about content and people quickly, which is sometimes an interesting one with search results, ability and management on there. Digging in a little bit further, we can see some people where they weren't sure. They knew it was a bit about queries, a bit about searching for content, sounds too obvious. Some people, this is actually Sharon Sumner, who runs the Power Platform Cambridge user group. And I love this answer. It's a fun question. It's everything from knowledge management to clutter management, which is now one of my favorite phrases that I've started using. Some people hadn't heard from me for a while, so they were a bit worried about my mental state and said, are you bored? The ability to find items in SharePoint. While others, and this wasn't a SharePoint person, were a little bit clever for their own good and said a service inside SharePoint that allows users to quickly find documents, content, or people with a combination of search queries and filters. I've thought about this for a while, and I'm pretty sure they Googled that or Binged that to get the answer because it seems a little bit too good. But it showed there's not really understanding of what you can do in SharePoint Search, let alone what is now Microsoft Search. So Ignite back in 2019, Microsoft released this slide, and they talked about it being one capability every search experience. So if you're in PowerPoint and looking for content, then you'll see the same coming from Word and SharePoint as well. Looking to get your emails from within Bing, that as well. Want to find the last Teams message from within Windows? Well, that's coming hopefully fairly soon. So it's all about that one place and getting together. Many of you will have come from a SharePoint background, and you're possibly thinking, we were talking in the beginning with Kamlesh and Jazjet around, was this SharePoint Search? But it's more than that. It's not just SharePoint Search with more things bolted on. It's actually built on top of the Bing technology. Now, does that mean that the original SharePoint search has disappeared? No, far from it. What you actually find is that SharePoint becomes one of the client applications, and you can see down the bottom, one of those indexes feeds into the Microsoft Search service itself. But along with that, you've got Teams chats, you've got answers, you've got Azure AD, emails, and you've got the different client applications that you can go in to get that content from. And as of relatively recently, you've got the graph connectors that can allow you to ingest other content and pull it into your search index. So stuff outside of Microsoft 365, and I'll touch on that a little bit more later. So for now, all you need to know is that you can search from all over. Whether you're going in there from your Outlook, from your SharePoint sites, from the Office portal, from your Word documents, all across everywhere, you can start to get those common ways of bringing back the results. Let's have a look at how that can look like. And I've lost my window and put it on the wrong side. That was bad preparation. Let me just drag that over here. So here we've gone to the office.com portal, and you can see we've got the nice thing, reminders of documents that I've been working on, recent updates that have happened, the discovery, the standard things you see on the Office portal. And front and center is that search. And if we click on that, straight away, you're getting results. So it knows that I often go to Outlook, here's common files, here's people I often search for. Good old Megan Bowen, always making an appearance on lots of these sessions. But as I start searching, for example, I can have a look for marketing. Actually, I'm going to start off with something else. I'm going to come back to marketing in a sec. I'm going to start with Mark 8, which is a project. And so I've got the Mark 8 project team that's coming through. I've got the notebook within that. I've got images from within that site. But it's not just from within that one site, it's also within news articles and pieces like that. I can see documents come through and get previews of that. And I can see across the different areas, across my whole organization, anything that I have permissions to of what's available. I've got a couple of refiners there, so I can refine by the file type. I can look at some refiners around last modified, so within its past 24 hours, a week, select particular dates. Now, you may have noticed, I've been giving this talk for about 6 to 9 months, and this keeps shifting. Previously, this was as refiners down the left. They've recently moved it off to the top here just to confuse me and make me update some of my slides. You'll also see if I hover over some of the SharePoint sites, we have got new functionality that I can go and search this site. So I've got that ability to refine my results based on the results. So if I go, yeah, what I'm looking for I know is in that site, I can drill down a bit further. So they're changing the way that people think about refiners. You still have the verticals along the top. So if I know if I'm looking for just files, I can filter on that, and I've still got those file types within there. If I'm looking for sites, I can filter on those. And we've also got people. I'm going to bring back to the marketing example I touched on previously. So we've got the sales and marketing, we've got the marketing lunch on there. We've even got Power BI coming to this in the last couple of months. These have started appearing. So it will start to query your Power BI content as well. But if I'm looking for someone, I can go and look for people within marketing, and it will pick up from their job roles. It will pick up from their projects that they've worked on, their skills you can see there, or even their department, which isn't always highlighted straight away on that people card, but you've got the different abilities on there. And I can click on that and get that more detailed people card with all the extra information. So I can get in there and access easily. Or if it's just about calling people, I've got that link to call them. I've got that link to send them an email. Slightly strangely, I think, is you don't have that link straight away to go and chat with them. You would have thought that Teams integration would be in there. It's not too far away. You can go and chat with them within here, but it's not on those results, which, yeah, if I'm honest, I think I'd like to see that there if people are encouraging Teams. So we've got that capability of drilling into the different verticals. If we scroll down, actually, I haven't got that many. If I go back to the all results, we do have pagination on there, so I can see roughly how many results. If there's lots of results, then I can start scrolling through the different ones. Recently, something has changed again on here. You've got the preview of the actual document, because often You may have 2 or 3 documents that are similar and you want to go and have a look at them. You could before go and click on that and actually browse through the document itself. They seem to have taken that away in the last month or so. I'm trying to dig a bit more and find out if that's a permanent removal. Part of it may be that actually it's very quick now to open the documents. That speed of opening using the web version of getting those PowerPoints up is very fast in most cases. So it may be that they've decided they don't need that additional load on the system from people browsing through those. I don't know. Would love to get that answered as well. But you can see the different filters. You can get your search results within there. Let's flip back to the slides. And hope they wake up. Come on. So that's Microsoft Search. Let's go and have a look at in SharePoint Search. If we do another demo, and let's go back and pick on, I mentioned that Mark 8 project team site. Let's go back to exit the search a sec. So we've got a SharePoint team site here, and we've got another search box. But if we just compare, if I delete that and go back to the main part, when I go onto the office.com page, it's search. When I go onto the SharePoint one, it's search this site. So that search box is context aware. It will change the results based on where you are. This isn't the same search box everywhere. It knows where you are. You're more likely to just want to search that site. And if I look, for example, for requirements, I can bring back and look for my requirements in this site. I'm seeing other docs that mention, because obviously being the search, it pulls back the contents of there. There's a few little differences between this and the office.com search. If you have a look at the icon there, there's a very slight difference in how they look, not massively. That's pretty much the line now. You've got a few less verticals, so you can control those verticals per SharePoint site and change the ones that you want to bring up. You may notice I hadn't mentioned some of the verticals to the right on the others. I will be coming back to that a bit later, don't worry. But you can define your different verticals. You can be looking at the default ones. There's nothing about news on there. If you have subsites, you're doing something wrong. I'll argue that at the end of the session. But you could search through those sites within there. But mostly you're looking at files and maybe news and pages that come back. If I have a look, maybe for Mark 8, just to bring back a few more bits of content, you can see we're getting the OneNote ones where we're getting news and site pages coming back. You're getting all those results that you can filter through, pretty much the same as you would from the main office.com. What's nice though is you may think, actually, this isn't the search I want to get from here. I want to go and look across the whole organization, and you've got a lovely breadcrumb trail along the top. And I can flip back and look across the whole organization results, and I'm now getting the same contents as I was getting from the office.com. I'm coming back from everywhere. Now, because I've searched for Mark 8, a lot of it is within that site, but I should be able to see somewhere. It's moved off the bottom of the screen from last time, but you'll be getting a lot more results there. You can go to see the landing that mentions Mark 8. So it's not all within this site. It's going across the whole organization now. But what I like about this is that I can still jump out and exit that search, and I'm back on that SharePoint page. I've been searching across the whole organization, but I haven't lost that context of where I was previously. So I'm back in that same world there that I can carry on doing things. And from there, I can go and say, I know I'm looking for a document. You may have multiple libraries. When I click on that document, that search box now says, search this library. It's got that context aware. And if I search for that, again, looking for requirements, you'll see that it's just searching within that library. You get a slightly different experience because it's in a document library. It's kept it in that document library style experience on there. And you can sort your results. So I can have a look at the older ones as you would with a document library. You can even create views. So you've got your view options and you can format the current view. So you might want to add different columns to your search results to try and find the thing you're looking for. If you've got some great metadata to help tag your document, you can make use of that all within a search area as well. So you've got that document library capability, but powered by Microsoft Search. So really useful to bring that different items up as well. If we come back to the main library as well, I'm just going to jump over to the work one. So here I've got a hub site. Hopefully you've heard about hub sites. These are the capabilities of having a single site collection that is connected to a series of other sites within your tenant, but you start to get some common things around them. So one of those is branding, but another is search. And if we have a look at that search along the top, now it says search across sites. And if I look for, let's say, operations, I'm getting across all the different sites. If I hover there, you can see that again is the operations site, but here I'm getting things from the HR site as well. And these are all part of that same hub. I've still got that option to go wider and use the breadcrumb trail and go into the organization results, but it's giving that capability to say, I actually want to search across a set of these sites instead. So really useful to be able to say you have a specific department and you want to search within there, or maybe you have a project landing page with a set of your projects and each of those projects are on a separate site. Make that a hub site and you can search just within your project content. You can control how the different context applies within that. Now, if you have come from the SharePoint world, at this point you're thinking, well, that's very nice, but has much actually changed? Is this just the same old content? It's just SharePoint really and making it available. And this is where the fun starts and things that you may not have noticed or heard about on there. If I return now to the search results, I'm going to go from the office.com page and keep on the search results here. I can start to look for different contents. And if I look, for example, grey hat beard, I'm pausing because last time I tried this, it failed. No, fantastic, it's working today. Here I've got a bookmark. So you may have best bets, as you've called them in previous worlds and in SharePoint. They're now called bookmarks. And so you can have your content that appears along the top. Let's pop over to the admin center and see how that's defined. So from the admin center, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. It's possibly a little small for some of you. Let's see how that looks. There we go. Under the left menu, under settings, assuming you're the administrator and have the access set, then you should have search and intelligence available there. And from that, you see a lovely example with lots of stats. Oh, apologies. Just double check and see if there's any questions. No, good. Unfortunately, showing that, has decided to bring the slides back. Let's hide that away. You get some stats here. Now, you may be thinking, fantastic, I'm going to get stats from across everywhere. I can understand exactly what people are doing with search. If you hover over here, you will see the impression data provided by Microsoft Search in Bing. Now, what I found is that you won't get any stats from office.com. You won't get the stats that are coming through from SharePoint. It is about if people are using Bing. So if we go over to Bing, you'll see, because I've connected this with my account, my Microsoft 365 account, I'm getting some Microsoft 365 info as a tab down the bottom. So similar to the office.com, I'm getting contents there. I'm getting my events, my calendar that's coming up, recent files, etc. coming through. And then it's going on to the same clickbait that always gets me distracted in these sessions. So let's go back and have a look for Mark 8. By default, that will again search everything, but it is starting to pick up results from my organization. So that Mark 8 project team comes up as a lovely looking card. I know Marcin was talking about adaptive cards with in the last session. It's that similar kind of card feel to things. If I carry on, then I can see it starts talking about some other areas about Mark 8 and different things related to Mark 8. In fact, I've got the project team. I didn't want to pick up that because previously you can see it brings back a lot of Bible verses and things like that. But I've got a tab, another vertical along there that's work. And if I select on that, it's now like I was searching from that office.com page. So I can easily search for things, whether I can't remember if I'd heard something internally, whether it's externally. I've got that single place to go to be that search landing page and get some nice results coming back. You can see you get slightly better functionality in some ways than the piece there, because it's automatically picked up that Project 8 team, it's picked up that members, not a UI that you get in the office.com yet. And I've still got all my verticals that I saw on the office.com page. so I can get to things from Bing. And if I have a look, for example, grey hat beard, you can see that same bookmark comes back there. Now, the reason I'm showing that is because that is what powers these results and different values. So you get an indication of the last 90 days. This is demo tenants I don't use too often, so there's not too much data in there, but that gives you the indication of what people are searching for from Bing, which is probably going to be a subset, at least for the foreseeable future, of what people do. Along the top, though, we've got some more interesting stuff, including the answers. Now, I'm going to start on, actually, no, we'll start with acronyms because there's some nice functionality here. You can see you've probably got a page in the organization. There's probably lots of TLAs, those 3-letter acronyms that you use in your organization that over time, everyone just knows and it's common sense. But when someone joins, a lot of these things just don't make sense to people. I used to live in Singapore and you could get the PIE on the PYI, and I had no idea what people were talking about until I found out that was the name of many of the roads had those, and they were all shrunk down on there, and it was very confusing. A lot of you will have a page within your intranet or digital workplace that maybe has a list of these acronyms, but now you can actually store these in Microsoft Search. If I show you what that looks like, if I click on add an acronym, we can give a name. So for example, M365 Bangalore. And what does it stand for? Microsoft 365 Bangalore. You can give a description. You can say where it came from. And if I had that link handy and hadn't closed it just now, I could put the link to the website. But you can put a very quick detail on there on that acronym. And that will published. Now, we were talking at the beginning, Jasya and Kamlesh, about how much quicker search is now. You will notice that published acronyms will take up to 7 hours to appear in search results. Often find it's a bit quicker than that. That really is the worst case scenario, but do be aware of that. Don't think I'm going to go and do a demo and show people those results showing straight away, because I can say from bitter experience, absolutely is not the case. But we can add that acronym in. You can see I've put some other ones in there, such as GHB for grey hat beard. And so if I go in here, the one thing I don't massively like about this is you can't just put GHB and it have the results. It doesn't find anything for that. You do need to, you do need to educate people to write define at the beginning. So there's one little step on there. I do hope that they look to change that at some point. But if I say define GHB, there I can get the results back from the acronym that I've put in the search results. Let's just, on the off chance that it's Saturday and things are running quickly. No, I thought it would be too quick. But you can see you can get that definition and have those results come back very easily. Going on to bookmarks that I mentioned previously, I had the grey hat beard one. You can add a bookmark. You can see you can add the different details. You get a little bit more functionality with these bookmarks. So you've got the title, say M365 Bangalore. And you'll notice as I type, a preview of what that's going to look like in the research results start to appear at the top straight away. And I can put a website in there. Let's move that out of the way. www.sbs.org. And I would put the link if I had that. Again, I stupidly closed that page. The greatest community events in India. And we can add some keywords in there as well. So we could have community, for example, and you just hit enter to add those different ones. We can have Microsoft 365, etc. And you'll notice underneath, and this is where one of the real benefits I see to Microsoft Search comes, is that you've got that AI, that it starts to expand what you can do. So by saying automatically match similar keywords, it will look at community and will try and match communities. If I've put M365 or Microsoft 365 as all one word, it starts to know the difference. Or, great example of things that people often search for. Do you call it leave? Do you call it vacation? Do you call it absence? It will interpret those all as the same thing. Or you can choose to say, no, for this one, I want people to match exactly on the thing. I don't want this bookmark to be coming up too often. I want when they're specifically searching for this. You can make that choice. You also have this option that maybe when people search for Microsoft 365 Bangalore, this is the only time they will get that result. So where you have those keywords, but perhaps community is the one that you want to reserve for this, you can make sure that no other bookmarks use this as well. Obviously, you're going to want to put governance in around this and make sure that not everyone is submitting their own ones. It is an administrative function, so you want to control that. But you can control and say, no, we only want this result to come back from there. You also have the option to have some categories. This is purely an administrative function that allows you to find your bookmarks. So this will not affect the end user experience at all. This is purely for admins. Coming down is where it gets even more interesting again. You're not just talking about putting these into the index. You can actually control whether it's always available, or you can define a start or an end date. So if you have a project going live, you can have that appear in the index exactly at that point when that project goes live, assuming your project's not delayed as well. But you can put in place that start. And maybe if you're having a party for your company, you want people to search party, they get that bookmark. But the day after, or maybe a week after that, you don't want people to always find that. You don't want those older results coming through. So you can actually add an end date for that bookmark that will then remove it from the that top header, those automatic things that appear at the top, without you having to remember to go back and do that. So you can define these things up front. You can also target to different areas. Now, I often get excited about this and think region, that's going to be a region within a country. Unfortunately, it's only down to the country level or group of countries. So you can see, I'm trying to find an example of a region rather than a country. Most of them are about countries instead, or they've got the different language version. So it's a bit more of a targeted around languages to some degree, but it will take their physical location, their locale from the machine, so you can target different results to different ones of those countries and regions. Probably of more use though is your your Microsoft 365 groups, so you can have specific groups within the organization. So maybe you only want this to appear for the finance team, you can add those within there as well. You can go more detailed if people are using Microsoft Search with specific devices. Then you can say, if someone's coming in on iOS, I want to provide this bookmark that will give them a link to a specific app or to a page that will open in that app. So you can control to those different things what different people get. Maybe you have a leave booking app that's a desktop based or mobile app, and you've got 4 different ones. You can tailor those search results for those so people don't have to think, depending what they're searching on, they will get that different link. You can also get targeted variations, which is a combination of the user's device and the location. So it's a bit like the previous 2, but you can combine those things together. So if you're in India and on an Android device, you'll get this result. If you're in India and on a iOS device, then you'll get these results. Rather than having to have 2 different bookmarks, you can start to use those variations as well. My favorite though is this one, which is the Power App. So if you've created a Power App, you can embed that within the search results. Let me give you a good example of that. If I go in and search for leave, with Brexit in this case, you can see here that the leave results that comes back actually loads a Power App. Now, frustratingly, one day I'm going to remember to update this. I've used a template leave app that is one of the default Power App ones that requires you to have a photo, because I'm using a demo account, I haven't put a photo. So that error message is purely about the Power App, nothing to do with it being in search results. I should change and do, let's try help, where we have the help desk app. So I've put another Power App in there that's got the help desk app, and you can see it starts to load it. If I click on an open app, I've got that Power App straight there. Hasn't taken me off to another tab, hasn't taken me off to another page. There in the search results, I can log in as help desk user, and I can log a ticket. And I can say Kevin keeps forgetting not to use the leave app, for example, which is obviously an important ticket to put in there. And I can create that. And, this can be any Power App you're using. It could be if you're doing Star Awards, for example, where you're highlighting things to people. You can bring those apps to people, have them appear in the search as quick as possible, which is really nice. And you've got the description for that as well. So really useful different bits. The other one, I'm just going to scroll up and close that. Some reason on this resolution, it's disappeared on the top there. There we go. So I've got my different bookmarks. You can see I've created ones. I can see when they're modified. I can filter. I can sort that. I can search through those results. You can also do an import. So I mentioned you need to be an admin to do this. You could have a CSV file that's there that people can put in and request changes. You can even have a Microsoft list that has an approval process and then a Power Automate flow that generates a CSV. I have done that. And then that people, you have to manually do it. As far as I've found, there's no API to import these yet. I'm hoping there will be one coming. I did speak to Jeremy Fake from the Microsoft Graph to find out if anything's coming on this. There isn't the demand. So if you have the demand, go and use a voice and get that logged there. But at the moment, you can manually import this. So you don't have to have someone always typing these out. Certainly, if you have a large bunch of them, use the import to work a lot quicker. Moving on a little bit, you can filter on those. You can have a look at the draft. You can have and see which ones you've got scheduled coming up. But my favorite of these, and again, going back to that AI-powered Microsoft Search, are suggested. So if I apply that as a filter, what you'll get is a load of recommended items. Now, these are a combination of things that Microsoft know generally within intranets that people would want to use, such as travel and company discounts or company holidays, etc. And I haven't got a bookmark for those. And it's saying, maybe you want to think about adding one. But also, this will come from what people are searching for. So if lots of people are searching for bus timetable or taxi timetable, it will start to recommend that and say, actually, loads of people are looking for this. You probably want to add this to your results as well. So it's using that AI. It's using all that data that Microsoft has to recommend the best thing for your staff as well. So really useful to be able to have this in there. Going through a few of the other answers, we've got some Q&A. Just give me a quick eye on the time. So you can, rather than ask for specific keywords, you can ask a question, such as, how do I book leave? And it will use, if you've ever seen some of the Q&A maker capabilities and Azure Cognitive Services, it's using that behind the scenes. So you don't need to ask the specific question. You can say, how do I book vacation? And it will use the AI to kind of work out, well, you meant, how do I book leave? That's a question. I recognize that as a question. Let's look at the Q&A. It fits this question. Let's retrieve that and not leave people linking directly to that details for it. There's some other nice ones. You've got locations. So if you have, if you're working for a multinational, or even if you're working a place with multiple offices, you can define your different offices that exist. It uses the Bing Maps. You can put the location. So if we look for Jubilee House in the search results, the CPS headquarters, you can see we get in that search box a nice map to where that is. So if you've got people traveling between offices, they've got a very easy way to find out where that is. They can zoom in and zoom out however far they want to go. They can get directions. You can expand that map, get a bigger view of it. You can put a bit more detail. I haven't put massive amounts within there, but you can get detail on that position as well. And you've got the same capability. If I edited that, I'm not going to jump in there at the moment, but you can put that published, all those things that you have with bookmarks, you have with locations as well. Going back to another one you may have noticed is floor plans. Now, in one of my former organizations, we spent many years looking at implementing a system that would allow us to have floor plans. When you're working in a large office, you don't know who someone is. Hopefully they put their photo, but you don't know where they sit. Having a map that you can click on within when you search for them is very useful. And now you have that built in to Microsoft Search. If I click on this one, what I've taken is a floor plan that I've uploaded. needs to be in the DWG format, which is the AutoCAD, I believe is also supported by Visio as well. You define which floor it's about and possibly if it's a wing or a zone within your building. Then when you put that together, it starts to map things across. I'm not actually going to click on this now because it's going to ruin all the ones I've set up. It is quite complex setting this up. It's taken me quite a long time to get this result, partly because I haven't got AutoCAD, so I can't define a diagram as I want it. But ultimately, you can go through these steps, define your office location, you define the patterns for your users. So if I go back, I'm going to do it within Bing because I like how it looks most within Bing. If I have a look, for example, for Joanna Lawrence, and you can see there as I've started typing, it's recognized it's a person and picked that person up straight away. And you can see there I've got a seat location. So this is all logged through Azure AD. It's actually the 18th floor at ST07. I can now click on that and it will show it when it loads on that floor plan map. So you can see I've got the floor plan, I can see the different desks, and that is where Joanna sits. So you've got that very easy way to know where to go through and find someone as well. Really, really useful. I will be posting a video on how to set this up on Grey Hat Beard. We have a YouTube channel there. Going to be posting more detailed video on the setup for that. So if this is of interest to you, keep an eye out for that, definitely. But lots of things you can do. Let's close that. Go and cancel and go back to the results here. Lots of things you can do with the answers. I see Pranam's asked a question of any learning path or other sources you would like to recommend for learning how to leverage Microsoft Search. Do you know, that's a very good question. If you go to Grey Hat Beard, I have some intro search videos to help with that. I will have a look and see if there's something around the Microsoft Learning. I genuinely don't know, so I will make a note of that and try and get back to you. If you ping me on Twitter, I'll post it up on there later at Kev McDonald. But really good question, thank you. Right, let's hop back to side. So a lot you can do there. The Microsoft Answers is really, really powerful. More and more is being brought on with things like that. I'm just going to answer Pranam. You had another question. Can you bring in printers? Not sure about printers. You can definitely bring in offices as assets. I don't think you can with printers, but would need to double check on that one. I can't see why not if you can do offices, but I'm going to take that away. That's a really good question. One of the things I'm going to put in the Grey Hat Beard bite sizes around the office as well. Let's go on a bit further. So we talked about Microsoft Search. We talked about all the great things you can do within there. All your content's in Microsoft 365, whether it's in SharePoint, OneDrive, etc. But I know all of you will have content elsewhere. And that is where the Microsoft Graph comes in, that you can start to pull that content from other places. At the moment, I think this will stay the way. This is out of preview. I should have updated that slide last night. There are 3 different ways you can get connectors to other data. There are a set of 10 now Microsoft built connectors that are available. There are also a set that partners have created that you can go and speak with those partners and purchase those for other systems. Or there is the Microsoft Graph Search API that you can actually go and build these things yourself that's available. So let's go through into each of those. As I say, there are currently 10. Now, I had to update this last night. Every time I do this talk, I go and have a look, and it seems to have changed, which is always good. You can see there's ones you probably expect that are Microsoft related, such as the Azure Data Lake, Azure SQL, you've got Azure DevOps, things that are controlled in the Microsoft cloud that you can connect to. But you can also use your on-premise. If you're using the data connector, you can get your Microsoft SQL Server, you can get to file shares. And as of pretty recently, I'd say in the last couple of weeks, I'm now seeing Oracle SQL Database show up there. They've had ServiceNow for a while, so if you're using ServiceNow, you can connect to either for your incident tickets or for your knowledge content. Really great to see that. You can also connect to enterprise websites. So if you have an external facing website and you want to surface the data there, you can bring that back as well as MediaWiki, whether that's on premises or a cloud-based version. last time I looked at this, it did have Salesforce as well, but that seems to have vanished again. So I don't know if the purchase of Slack scared them off or what happened there, but Salesforce isn't one of the standard connectors. However, it is existing as one of the over 100. You probably can't see that in detail. If you look on the Microsoft search for docs.microsoft.com, look at the partners, you can see there's all sorts of things, which does include Salesforce. It's not on the list there, but it is available. Sitecore, Workplace by Facebook, all sorts of non-Microsoft connectors that you can go and speak to partners such as Accenture, I think, are creating them, and a couple of others that's suddenly gone off out of my head. But you can go and connect your Lotus Notes database if you are unlucky enough to have one of those, and pull all that within Microsoft Search by going to speak to the partner. They'll come and implement it for you at a cost and do that as well. But if you don't want to, you can also do it yourself. And let's have a little look at how that works in a sec. So this example, I'm going to be showing how you can, actually, I'm going to show first how you can bring across the search results from a website. So if you go into connectors, these are the connectors you've got. And you'll notice the first thing you see is that I've got 189 items indexed out of 2 million. So you can have up to 2 million custom results on there. I believe you can purchase more, but I haven't seen a way you can do that directly. So it would be a conversation with Microsoft at this stage, but you can add your custom connectors within there. And you can see down here, I've added a couple of websites. If I click on add, just to give you a bit of an idea, if you click on ads, you can see those different results that come through, and I can select enterprise websites and click on next. I'll give it a name. Let's just say it's Bob. Give it a connection ID. Or this connection ID, whoops, is a definition for what that connector is. So alphanumeric cannot be changed. You can change the name of it. The connection ID stays static. Give it a description and just confirming that you have access to this content. You're legally allowed to do things with that and you're not just screen scraping. And then you can see some of the things. You can give it a URL. You can give it some authentication type. I'm looking at the time. I'm going to rocket through this a little bit quicker just to show the different elements. But you can bring back a URL. You can define schemas, etc., etc. It's all a WYSIWYG based way of doing that. And if I go back to connectors and have a look at, for example, the McD79 blog, if I click on that, you can see that I haven't given a description. If I look at the current crawl, there's nothing in progress at the moment. If I look at the last crawl, I did a full one back on the 12th of November. It took about 36 minutes and I got 79 results back from that. Pretty small index, not even flashing on there. You can define your search permission, so you can get quite complex. It's not that you expose everything. You can pick the different bits up from there. You can pick up search schema. So on your website, you can define certain things that it can try and crawl through and pick up, how often it goes, etc., etc. And now if I look for SharePoint, for example, and I select the McD79 connector, it has pulled back my blog post. In fact, fantastic. It's brought back my latest one about issues with syncing groups. So I know that's running nicely. And it's pulled back from my blog. Just show you what that looks like. You can see it's picked up my blog. It's trawled through. I've just pointed at the landing page. It's followed the links and trawled through the different elements that are going on there. So you can bring in your websites very easily from that. And you can also, and I'm not going to go into detail on how today on this, but you can also do those custom ones. So you can do a parts inventory that will connect to a database. And I've actually done a Twitter connector. So going back to a reference on my blog, mcd79.com, third one down, it's all about creating custom Microsoft search with logic apps. And this talks about how you can get a logic app and you can go and query. Look, you can see there was just 7 last when I made that post. You can go and create a logic app and you can set up that search connector. I'll go into detail on how to do that, creating a schema and bringing those results back so that every time a tweet comes with a particular topic, you can automatically add it to your index. And if we look at 2 of those examples of where this would be useful, if I search for fridge and click on parts, I can connect to a parts database that could be in my organization and get live results that have come through, or close to live results, because every time that changes, it can trigger an index update. So you can see whether that inventory is up to date. You've got one place to go to get that information. The same for Twitter. Now, I'm actually, the example I gave was for Collab Talk. So if I look for, I think, oops, if I can spell it, Cortex comes up. No, let's try and search for Collab Talk. You can see I'm bringing back those tweets and getting those results that have come from Twitter from the last Collab Talk session. So you can get those coming through. Really powerful way of bringing your search all together into one place. Right, let's move on a little bit. You can also develop with search. Not going to spend too long on this because I know this is more on the ITPro side, but if you want to go to my GitHub profile at Kev McDonald, I've got a Microsoft Search single page application, and you can use the Microsoft Graph. I'm using adaptive cards within that, within the, we're using Next.js as the framework for it. So it's a single page application hosted in a static site.
Kevin, we're almost on time and there are some questions in the chat window.
Fantastic. I'm going to rocket through this. Thank you. There's a Q&A maker there, so we're also using that on top of the search results. But if you want an example of how to do dev, do take a look at that site. Very quickly, what does the future hold? There was announced at Ignite this year that the people skills and more content, so Power BI is now come out, but you're also going to get conversations. So teams will start using Microsoft Search, and there will be a vertical there that you can search in one place across email, Teams, and Yammer, which I'm very much looking forward to, because a number of times I can never remember where that conversation took place. That will make it much easier. You can also search for a person and then continue that search in their context. So if you know someone uploaded a doc, but you can't remember where it is, you can search for that person and then search within those conversations. Really powerful. I think we'll see a lot more availability of those connectors, and we'll see the community create some for there as well. We're also going to see more hubs. So as I mentioned, Teams is coming. Desktop search, so rolling up that Windows search, will be powered by Microsoft Search fairly soon as well. We're also seeing voice search come to the Outlook mobile app as well. So lots of results should be coming, quite a few of these, by the end of this year. We were promised. So keep an eye out over the next few days as well. And finally, Project Cortex, all powered by, a lot of that powered by Microsoft Search and the AI. If you haven't seen Cortex, aka.ms/Project Cortex, fantastic AI-driven way of getting your knowledge. Very quick summary, the what, search across Microsoft 365 content and your own using the Graph API. Why? Because you've got one place and one way to get your search content from across everything. How? You've got that search box, you can get results from configuration, and you can develop with the Microsoft Graph. Thank you very much. And I'm going to leave that slide up there, and a big thank you again to our sponsors, and hop over and have a look at some of the questions. If you do have any questions, stick your hand up as well. So Sudipta,
first one, you've already looked into the any learning path assignment, and you answered the printer one as well. And Sudipta is asking if this settings are meant for only internal user. I'm not really understanding the context there.
So if I assume from that you mean is Microsoft Search just for internal users? Yes, it is for people who have a Microsoft 365 account and are going in through that portal. So this isn't the kind of thing you put up on your website. There is, I think it's in preview now or coming soon, you can have a managed instance of Microsoft Search without Microsoft 365, where you can point your graph connectors to everything and build that into your applications as well. So there is the capability to do that.
Another one is specific to SharePoint. Can we compare two search results from two sites and show common data out of the box?
I'm not entirely sure what you mean there. I think you probably
find out what's the duplicate data there by comparing two search results. That's what I'm guessing.
I think you'd probably be looking at PnP PowerShell. You could point that at you could do that search query at two sites and bring that back. That wouldn't really be an out-the-box UI functionality, no.
Or you could, the old school method would be to use one search query box and combine them with two web parts that would point at different sources and filter data from different sources. But you could do that. But again, not out of the box. You'll have to customize that page and put your own web parts and configure those web parts. Now, compare the contents. Yeah. OK, so that's what he meant. Yeah. So can the custom search be configured to point to internal Yammer group chats too? Ooh, I don't know about that one.
So Yammer as a search result is coming soon. So there's going to be that conversations part. Assume when you're talking about internal, that's the Yammer connected with Microsoft 365. So that will be coming. Again, that's one of the ones I'm hoping will be in for the end of the year. That the certain hints was around that. So yes, that should include on there. You could, of course, use the Yammer APIs and use that graph connector to extend that. So yeah. Yes is the short answer to that one.
Okay, one last quick question. Can we add ODB URL as connectors and get results from there? If yes, how can we do it for all users? I don't know what he means by ODB URL there, to be honest.
Is that OneDrive for Business, Sudipta? I mean, OneDrive for Business results would come up through the search, absolutely. It's permissioned, so only if you have shared and your content would come through. So I think yes is the short answer, but I'm not sure if I'm missing something on the question there. Do feel free. I know Chirag is up next, and it's a great session, so I don't want to cut into too much of his time. If you do have more questions and want to continue conversation, I'm at Kev McDonk on Twitter. If you search for Kevin McDonnell, might need to add UK or SharePoint to that in LinkedIn, or I'm /Kev McDonnell. Do feel free to add me and ask me questions on there as well.
Thank you so much, Kevin. That was an amazing session. Loved the demos as well. We'll move on to our next session. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Enjoy yourself, everyone, and good luck, Chirag, as well.
Oh, thank you, Kevin.